Recording in progress.
Ramya, you can start.
Yes, ma'am. I thought all the waiting list students, if they join, then we can start. Let me think.
You can start, ma'am. They are joining.
Okay.
So we have 155 students now. So they are joining.
A career in finance is not all about money, though it starts there. For the management graduate, earning a degree is just the beginning. What's left is to take a closer look at the available career opportunities and then to decide which industry sectors have the greatest need for new professionals. Good afternoon, one and all present here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to the first Career Guidance Series event of the semester. I thank all the honorable guests, faculty, students, and other Management Institute participants attending today for the webinar. On behalf of Department of Management Studies, Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering, I, Ramya, welcome you all to the live webinar on opportunities and finance. Now I request our HOD, Dr. KG Hemalata Madam, to deliver welcome address. Over to you, Madam.
Yeah, good afternoon, delegates, my dear students and faculty member. I'm Dr. KG Hemalata, Professor and Head of the Department, the Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering. I'm delighted to welcome you all for the today's event, the Career Guidance Series, Opportunities in Finance, the first event. We would like to introduce about our department for the newcomers of today's attendees. So, we are the Department of Management Studies in Dayanand Sagar College of Engineering, started in the year 2006. Ours is an autonomous program affiliated to Vishweshwarya Technological University and approved by AICTE. We are autonomous in the year 2015, and we have been using our autonomy to the fullest possible way in updating our curriculum in tune with the industry requirements, changing pedagogy to more of experiential learning, and providing new age specializations like business analytics, operations, IT, along with the marketing, human resources, and finance. More opportunity for industry interactions. Our students are undergoing 10 weeks internship, that is organizational study after the second semester, and 16-week problem study in an organization to understand the industry situations the entire fourth semester. We provide also ample opportunity to the graduates to develop their business and technical acumen through communication lab, advanced Microsoft Excel lab, digital marketing lab, languages like R and Python. Students are empowered to develop their leadership and personality skills by being part of various clubs we have it, namely Kotler Club for Marketing, Maslow's Club for HR, Warren Buffett's Club for Finance, Optrack for Operations, John Snow for Business Analytics, and Steve Jobs for IT Club. So domain-specific students' newsletter, the CADO, the Midas Touch, the FinSign are evident to portray their skill set and register their experiential learning in the department, their journey in the department. So Milana series and Alumni Connect happens on fortnightly basis to update our management graduates about what's happening in the market through our alumni. We have a venture labs to nurture budding entrepreneurs and handhold them with the help of IEDC and incubation opportunity at Derby. There the students can grow, develop, and launch successfully. So the state-of-the-art infrastructure facilities such as digital library, amphitheater, auditoriums, gyms, and sports facilities are contributing to the overall development or well-being of the students. Not the least, Dayanand Sagar has been leading the march in placements, and on average, 160 companies are visiting our campus to recruit our management graduates. Our students are fetching the highest package of 12 lakhs package per annum as on date. We are the number one under the affiliated and autonomous colleges in Karnataka in shaping management graduates and developing their employability. We believe in how to improve the employability. That is our mantra. We impart ethics and values in them, and we are producing responsible citizens. Our journey is always adhering to sustainable development goals of United Nations. Our students are actively involved in aim to flourish projects that is part of United Nations SDG. We are preparing our students to face their real life situations. These are all the glimpse about our department. And today's event focus on opportunities in finance. We have been witnessing a huge change in the marketplace, especially finance. When we were providing specialization courses along with advanced Excel, IFRS, spreadsheet skills, and business analytics, there were plenty of opportunity for our students to get them placed in accounting, auditing, taxation, financial analyst post. The main recruiters were Ernst & Young, KPMG, Deloitte, Odyssey Technologies, Thomson Reuters, ICICI Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, Society Generale, Northern Trust, and many more. So many of our students are in the field of accountant, corporate finance, investment banking, portfolio management, risk management, commercial banking, financial planning, compliance, and internal control positions. As they joined in the organization and pursue their career over a period of time, they are pursuing the certification courses like a Chartered Financial Analyst, CFA, Chartered Public Accountant, CPA, Certified Financial Planner, CFP, Financial Risk Manager, FRM certification, etc. Of late, we could see sweeping changes in the number of requirement by the recruiter as the numbers have been come down from 2018 onwards, and the profile of recruiters have been changing. We have to thank the changing environment that's happening with us, like automation, digitalization, cloud computing, banking as a service, and role of fintech like a digital payments, blockchain technology in finance marketplace. So we have lined up eminent speakers from CFO to the director from financial services to investment banking, senior consultant from taxation and audit compliance to financial analyst from business analytics and etc. So I would like to invite all the guests and eminent speaker of today who have responded quickly and coming forward to help our budding managers amidst of their busy schedule. I would like to invite Mr. Ganesh KV, board member, Mosaic Private Limited, Singapore. Welcome you, Ganesh. And I would like to welcome Mr. Paramasivam Mahalingam, Head for Technology, Media and Telecom Verticals TMT, City, India. Welcome you, Param. I would like to invite Mr. Vikash Rai, Senior Consultant, EC, Deloitte. Welcome you, Vikash. I welcome here Mr. Rahul Singh, founder, Artha Chanakya and Tyco Investing. Welcome you, Rahul. And my dear alumni, Srinivas R. Nayak, Senior Test Analyst, Odisha Technology. Welcome you. On behalf of Department of Management Studies, Ananda Sagar College of Engineering, I welcome all eminent speakers and participants and my dear faculty to this wonderful event. Start with today, opportunities in finance. Over to you, Ramya. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So now we will have our speaker discussion followed by Q&A. Prediction is one key aspect everyone hates because there is always uncertainty involved at every step. But at every stage, company has to be run based on belief, analytics, facts, etc. How should a student develop these key qualities, which itself a key skill set? So let's listen from our first speaker, who is awarded as one of the best CFO in India consecutively at 2016, 17, 18 from CFO India, and one of the most promising CFO in India from Chartered Management Institute of UK at 2016. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce you all Mr. KV Ganesh, board member, Mosaic Group, Singapore, with 33 years of rich background of managing large MNCs and listed entities in IT, ITES, automobiles, paper, building works, FMCG, telecom sector, with special focus as a chief financial officer and a company secretary apart from board positions. Companies associated with includes TVS Tires, Subex Limited, HP, HSBC, PepsiCo, etc. He's also a chartered accountant, company secretary, and done his dissertation in taxation from Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and done his executive MBA from Indian Institute of Management, IIM, Calcutta. Over to you, sir. Sir, you're on mute.
Yeah, is it okay now? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks, Ramya, for those very nice words and a good introduction. And good afternoon to everyone, to all the panel members and to all the students who have assembled. Great to sort of do this kind of a virtual program. Basically, the topic which I thought I will cover for the next 15 minutes was on the role of a CFO. Typically, look, I mean, this is a very interesting kind of topic because today's role of a CFO has undergone a paradigm shift from where it was, say, a couple of decades back. Let me just start with a very brief sort of anecdote. When we talk about getting into a leadership role, we all like to be the leaders, right? I mean, when we talk about, I mean, all of us, for example, know Jack Welch, the GE chairman. His motto was very simple. He said, only in those kind of businesses where we would be number one in the market. We don't want to be playing a number two, number three kind of a role. So that's what it is. So you want to become a leader. I mean, even take, for example, I mean, today all of us are interested in cricket. We watch all these matches. You pick up a bat. You want to become a Sachin Tendulkar or to become a Virat Kohli or some of those great players. So you always want to be the number one. So the question really before us is, first of all, let us try to understand who is a CFO. What is this whole connotation, meant to be? And if once we have identified who is a CFO, what it takes to become truly a great one, not a good one, a great one, successful CFO. Let's just think through basically, what is the role which a CFO might do, and that is for all of you to sort of understand, because you're all at a cusp. You are all starting your career. You should always have a roadmap. You should know where and what is that I'm going to do in life? What's the direction we are looking at? So, I mean, look, there are two ways of looking at it. Some people like to become a specialist. I mean, they want to become a tax expert, auditors, MIS, investment bankers. I mean, there are different areas. No two ways around that. But the CFO is a role which is always something which most of the people, I mean, you toss the coin 10 times, 7 times people would be interested in getting into that role. And when does it happen in one's career? Nobody knows. It could happen after 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. It may not happen also. So you aspire to be one. So how do you sort of have this roadmap? You need to sort of chart this roadmap for yourself. My first advice to all of you is when you sort of look at a career, don't look for shortcuts, because to sort of become a leader, it's real hard work, real hard grind. It's not easy to become a champion. So pick up those kind of areas which is passionate for you. Some of you could be interested in tax-based roles. Some of you could be more interested in getting into automation, accounting. I mean, there are different areas. So that's very important. You identify one. And if you want to be a specialist, become one. Become truly an expert in that. No harm in that. You could become a tax expert. You could be a GST expert. It's a fantastic career, no problem. If you want to be a little more broader in your whole spectrum and you want to become a CFO, then you need to understand that there are many facets which you need to cover in this journey. First of all, the functional part. Let me just briefly touch upon them. I mean, there are many speakers who are going to talk at greater detail what it takes in each and every area of specialization. But there are lots of functional areas. Look, accounting itself, a lot of changes have happened. I mean, I remember when we all started our career, accounting was very easy. No longer. I mean, you have US GAAP, you have IFRS, you got Ind AS. I mean, I can tell you one incident. I mean, one of the companies where I was working, and we were in a boardroom, 6 people, all qualified senior finance people, chartered accountants. And the auditor was presenting his report. Very few things we picked up. None of us were able to understand and decipher what exactly the auditor was meaning. That is the complexity now accounting has posed. To talk about corporate finance, banking brings its own challenges. Investment banking, very, very big area. Investment banking is, it's always been a glamorous kind of area. But then is it easy? No longer. I mean, it's like when you talk about a merger and acquisition, lots of things are involved. I don't want to get into detail, but just to touch upon, you may have to do a diligence, you may have to do a valuation, then the post-integration becomes even more challenging. To integrate 2 or 3 companies is a nightmarish experience. Only when you go through, you'll understand what it takes. Lots of areas. I mean, corporate governance, big world today. I mean, everybody is after corporate governance. You've seen a lot of scandals happening everywhere. So corporate governance is very important. You have to make sure that whatever you do, you are right up there. So that's one area. Well, internal audit. We talked about audits, internal audits. It could be a lot of areas around budgeting, costing, management information systems. I mean, there are different facets. So do you do everything? Yes, you probably, if you really want to be a CFO, one of the major things which you need to understand is you need to be at least a jack of all trades. You don't need to be a master because it's very difficult. I mean, if you're a good accountant, you may not be a great tax expert, and you may not be a great person to do fundraising. I mean, but you must know. You can't say like I want to be a CFO and I don't know anything about taxation, or I've never raised funds for my company. You just can't do it. So slowly but surely, it's, I'm just trying to sort of give you a charter, a path, sure that you learn practically, hands-on, each and every facet. You may join an accounting department, but that's a job you may get initially. I mean, whatever we get, we take it. Then carefully move towards that. Look for areas, ask your manager whether I can get into some banking area, whether I can do some secretarial area, board related. You see, handling a board is not easy because the board might expect a lot of things from professionals. You cannot say that, look, I mean, you can't cut a sorry figure in a board meeting and say that I don't know this subject. So you have to sort of get to this aspect of trying to know a bit of everything. You might be an expert in 1 or 2 areas, but you must have an all-round experience. So now, this is a path. As I mentioned, it's a path, but it takes much more than that to become a successful CFO. See, a CFO is normally a partner to the business. Okay, he is somebody whom everyone looks forward to, whether it's the board, whether it is the management, senior management, the stakeholders, bankers, anybody who has got anything to do with the company, even for that matter, employees. Because what happens, CFO is like a we play those card games, Joker kind of a thing. You can take many avatars. When you go and appear before a banker, you have to talk his language. When you go to talk to an equity person, you need to understand what are his aspirations. You go to a tax department, you meet a commissioner of income tax, he's going to talk something totally different. So you got to understand that these qualities have to be sort of, imbibed by you. Is that all? No, clearly no. Today's CFO is actually a partner to the CEO. See, I'll tell you a couple of instances where I've been involved. Today, for example, I'm a board member of this company. For us, it's the business savvy person whom we like to talk to. Nobody wants to talk to somebody who's going to talk very, very silo. When I say silo, what I mean is, fine, you have the numbers, but what does a number mean for the company? Today, we are talking about COVID. You know, you have a situation, cash flows are dried up completely. So you come and present to the board. You can say, board members, dear sir, you know, the cash position is very weak here. You know, this is a fact. The board members would be interested in knowing, come on, that's okay, we understand, but what is the recommendation you have? If you have to make a recommendation, what is that you will tell us? So it is a very proactive role. He is truly a business partner. See, one thing which I have seen, and by experience, I can tell you, maybe the finance people sometimes tend to be a little introvert. I mean, they don't speak out much. You can't. As you sort of develop your career, learn to quiz around, learn to ask your peers, learn to ask your boss. No harm, because that's the only way you will learn. Communicate. In fact, you can over communicate, no problem, but don't under communicate. One thing you always see in finance fraternity is people are very shy. You know, they are very shy and very introvert by the very nature. And what happens when you get to that phase? People will sideline you. They will say, yeah, good, you are a good finance person, you're good in numbers, you're present at everything, but the buck stops there, nothing beyond. You don't want to be like that. You just want to be right at the thick of action. So the business savvy, business centric finance person would do very well. Today's world is so different. I mean, I remember 30 years back, I mean, I would have started in the early 90s career and all. There was hardly any technology. Today, you cannot afford to be missing out on technology. And it's not just Excel and PowerPoints and all. It's like today we talk about artificial intelligence, robotics. I mean, I can take one example. I mean, one company I know we have been closely linked with that organization. They had for a payroll run for 40,000 people, they were having 7 people who were working for 4 days towards the end of the month. I mean, that was the kind of effort, manual effort they were doing. And then robotics came, the bot. And guess what? The bot did the job just in 11 minutes. The whole payroll was completed flawless. So this is just a paradigm shift what we are seeing. You know, things have changed so much. Automation is the order. You will have to sort of imbibe. No choice around that. So it's very important that one has to sort of get to this aspect and start giving practical advices, and only then you will be felt, you will be seen. Today, when you go and meet an investor as a CFO, you know, the investor actually wants to know everything. Or you go and meet a credit rating person, he will ask you questions. He or she is going to ask you every question. What the production method, what kind of changes are you making, what's the change in supply chain, what marketing strategies, what branding strategies. You cannot say, no, I'm sorry, I'm just a finance person. I know a bit of accounting, taxation, you know, these things I know. Other things are not my area. You are the representative of the company, somebody whom everybody looks forward to. Talk about a board meeting. I mean, I can tell you from experience, I would have run through a lot of board meetings all by myself. Sometimes many questions I will not even know how to manage. But then you will have to use your common sense. Common sense could be very, very important, because in business, if you really truly want to be a successful CFO, you've got to combine common sense along with all the functional traits. Functional traits, I told you, important, very important. You can't miss out. You need to know, and you need to update all the time, 24/7. This is not a walk in the park. You've got to sort of keep updating. Changes keep happening. Sometimes, you know, before you could even realize what's happening, something would have happened. So that's the speed at which things are moving currently. So functional traits, no doubt that's given. But then you have to have a presence. So that's very important. And also learn to sort of, please understand, you need to bring in that approach of sort of a caring and sharing approach, if I can put this in very simple terms. You need to share data with people. You can't be, I remember, some few years back, there was this whole approach that numbers, somebody has got the numbers, he's a strong guy. No longer. You got to share, you got to mix. You got to go and talk to your peers, your production guys, the marketing people. These are the numbers which are coming. What is the session you are having? Then you will be fed. People will take you seriously. So, in short, I just thought I probably got 2 more minutes to sort of go through. In short, what I wanted to say is everybody can become a finance head, CFO, vice president finance, whatever nomenclature we give. But to actually become a successful one, truly somebody who's a meaningful person, who's counted in the overall scheme of things, you need to have some meaning to the role what you're doing. All the functional traits what you bring, you've got to bring it to the table. It's like cooking, right? You got all the ingredients with you. Finally, you'll have to bring a product which is palatable, which all of us enjoy. If you want to do a pala, everything is there. You got the all the ingredients, but ultimately the paneer butter masala has to come in one shape, and that has to be tasty to, bite and enjoy, swallow. So I think I'll stop here. 15 minutes is what Ramya had told me. I don't want to sort of overshoot here. Happy to take any questions in the end. I think there's a Q&A session, so pretty happy to take it at that point. Over to you back, Ramya.
Thank you, sir. Audience, we will take up the question and the end Q&A session. So now we have our second speaker. The financial service industry is multifaceted, offering a variety of positions that cater to different skills and interests. Some of the most glamorous and intense financial career are jobs in investment banking. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce you all Mr. Paramashivam Mahalingam, Head for Technology, Media and Telecom Vertical, Citibank. Mr. Paramashivam, with 20 plus years of experience in various segments, banking, and broadly spent equal time handling clients in retail, small and medium enterprises, and international banking segments over the past 20 years, he's working with a lot of global companies with a wide exposure to different industries across the globe. He has developed a fair understanding of business development, relationship management, product risk management, operational risk, etc., across various business segments. Sir, every finance student currently is afraid of technology and they think that technology is overtaking many finance jobs. How do you look at this scenario? Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Ramya. Thanks, Hema. And thank you, Ganesh, sir, for sharing all your wisdom over the last 30 years or so. When Hema reached out to me asking me to talk about future of banking, my first answer is that it is quite bleak. And your question also resonates that, that people are worried that technology is taking over everything whatsoever. It is a fact. Technology is pretty much taking over everything. In the last 20 years, banking has changed completely. Right? I can't even relate to how banking was in 1990s versus what it was in 2000s. And in 2020, it is very different. And I can already see that in 2025, it is going to be even more different, right? If I have to just run back a century back, banks were just custodians, just accepting whatever gold or whatever you have. Banks were custodians. Eventually, you accept gold. Why don't you lend the gold? That's a common sense which prevailed. They started lending. Then why gold, right? I might as well print a currency and the RBI governor will sign saying that I owe you so much, whatever. Currencies came in. So we started lending money, right? Businesses used to borrow in the early phase of banking. Then individual aspirations went up. I'm sure the next speaker is going to touch about it. Wealth and all of that. Everybody wants to buy a car and housing loan. So India has actually moved through corporates borrowing, then individuals borrowing, and now we have come to a mature phase that banks have just done and dusted everything, right? Be it the wholesale banking or the retail banking or whatsoever. I'm not saying that it is just going to be impossible for banks, but banks have to literally change, right? I mean, we clearly understand that where this is heading. If I have to talk about a few technologies, okay, now I was actually worried whether I can take these terminologies in a call like this, where we have students from the first year, but nevertheless, let me explain on how things are evolving. I'm not sure how many of you have read about digital currencies, right? I mean, that's one thing which, if we don't know, might as well today, YouTube has so many videos about digital currencies. What is a digital currency? At least a year back, I used to think that, okay, anyway, I'm transacting all my bank accounts through a digital mode. So that is digital currency, right? But actually not. I mean, this is all electronic transfers which you are doing. And all the settlements which we do is on an account-based system. For example, you keep a 10 lakh of rupee in your bank account. Even if you go into an app like a GPay or all the open banking apps, right, where you don't have to get into the bank's internet banking portal, but rather get into an open banking app like GPay. For example, if I'm transferring money to, say, Hema or Rahul, I don't need to ask their bank account number today, right? I have to go into GPay. As long as I have their phone numbers, okay, I can just choose and start paying. So where is the bank's role there? Okay, I don't even know, right? I can just, and end of the day, when I do this kind of settlement, what happens? One, my bank account gets debited and somebody else's bank account gets credited, correct? This is the way we have always been tuned. The human mind is always tuned to this aspect. And whenever I do a financial transaction electronically, my account will get debited for sure and somebody else's account is going to get credited. Now this is changing, right? From an account-based settlement, we are slowly moving towards a token-based settlement. And I don't want to use terminologies like blockchain and all of that at this point of time. But China has already piloted it. Okay, so they are slowly progressing towards a token-based settlement. What does it mean? How does it work? Like, for example, China, at least in my understanding, what they have done is they just did a lottery for like 700 million people roughly, stating that you download an app. Okay, I will credit. Okay, when I say credit, I may be using a wrong word. I'm just loading points into that app. Okay, if I download an app called X, okay, I have 100 points. Now, I can go and use this 100 points for any monetary transactions across a specific province, right? That's how the pilot has happened. Like, for example, if say Guangzhou, okay, in China. So I have an app. In that app, the Central Bank of China just adds value, okay, to that app. Now I go to KFC or McD, whatever, I just spend, okay, the money gets accepted, but there is no account debit from your bank account. Do you understand? The value from the app gets deducted, that's all, right? And the value in the recipient's account gets added. That is all. So there is no account-based settlement. I hope I'm able to make it very clear. So to put it very simply, okay, it's like a prepaid voucher of sorts in a digital application format in your mobile phone. The central bank will just give you that value of whatever it is called, digital currency. You can start using that widely. So if you do a settlement like this, there is no bank account which gets debited or a bank account which gets credited, right? Now, why do we need to do this? I mean, all my settlements are working fine. So why do I need to move into the settlement? That's where the catch is. Now, at least in China, keeping in mind all the data privacy aspects, everything, if I give, say, 100 value, say, digital currency to somebody like Hema, the central bank can now decide what Hema can spend that money on. And because if you have a physical currency, you can always keep it in a vault. If you have a normal currency, then you can put it in your bank account, which is your control, right? Now, moment a digital currency comes in place, there will be an expiry date for the digital currency that within 30 days you have to spend. Okay, if you don't spend it, it becomes null and void, right? Or the central government, the central bank can come and say that it can be spent only for entertainment related purposes, or it can be used only for purchase of an automobile. If I have to revive an automobile sector in a country, okay, today I can't do anything. I don't have a magic wand right now. But if I have to revive a sector in a context where there is widespread digital currency acceptances, then these tools come in very handy for the central government to handle the monetary aspects of the economy. So digital currencies, and I don't want to dwell deeper into this, but this is one thing which I think students, by the time you guys come out of your college, okay, it is going to be very relevant. Even the Reserve Bank of India has published a draft stating that there is going to be a policy on digital currencies, even though the Reserve Bank is always denying that crypto is something which is not the cup of tea, but this is coming for sure. If China has done it, if US is already testing it, India cannot be an exception. So that's the first thing which I want to talk about. Then secondly, we are also moving into a framework called Open Credit Enablement Framework. Okay, don't get carried away by these jargons which I'm using. But as a country, we are moving into an open architecture for credit rates. Okay, that's another trend which is coming in financial services. This is quite big for the country like us. What does it mean? Like how I explained digital currency, this is very specific to India, right? We have set up something called an account aggregator system. Okay, what does it mean? There are NBFCs, okay, non-banking finance companies, which are categorized as account aggregator. Now, how does it impact a common man? Okay, I'll again take an example of, say, Hema. Okay, Hema needs a loan. What does she do today? She calls up a bank, or maybe she applies online, and somebody comes and picks up all her papers. That goes for processing, and then eventually a loan gets credited. Whatever said and done, it can, the turnaround time can range from, say, a few hours to a few days, right? That's how it is in India today. Most likely it will be a few days. Okay, for some of the privileged, maybe it is like a few hours. If you have a bank relationship with a specific bank, then of course they have all your data, so they will be able to process it very quickly. But by and large, it will take a few days. Now the government has come with a framework called, for easier usage of words, I'll just call it as OCEN. OCEN, okay, Open Credit Enablement Network. It is important for students to know what this technology is going to do. So essentially, moment Hema comes and seeks a loan, going forward under this framework, Hema will download an app. Okay, all that she will do is just give a consent for sharing all the data. Okay, so where do we pick up the data from? Under this framework, you have the insurance regulators, they are participants. The Securities and Exchange Board of India, the GST authorities, the PF authorities, the income tax, okay, you are the Reserve Bank of India. So all of these regulators are already part of this framework, this OCEN framework. So this is quite fascinating. Moment Hema says, okay, you can access my data, immediately there is an API request which gets triggered to all the regulators. So in a matter of 5 seconds, when I say 5 seconds, this is the turnaround time fixed under this framework today. And this framework is live. Okay, don't think it is going to come up in another 5 years or so. In a matter of 5 seconds, legitimately, I will be able to figure out what is Hema's salary, what is her PAN number, where is she staying, what is the insurance policy she's holding in the country, what is the shareholding she has, how much of term insurance she has. Okay, all of those information, because you are giving a consent, right? Again, at the cost of repeating, this is not something which is going to come up in 3 years or 4 years. This is already live. Now Hema gives the consent. All the participating banks in this framework, okay, will get to see the data about Hema, which she has given a consent. If I have to process, say, a 5 lakh of loan for Hema, then if there are 17 banks, all the 17 banks will get displayed saying that I'm offering at 8%, somebody at 7.75, somebody at 6.25. It is up to Hema to just go and pick which bank she has to take that loan from. Now, the documentation is digital, by the way. Okay, that is also live already in this platform. There is an application called Sahay. I mean, maybe all of you can just have a look at it. SAHAY. Okay, this is applicable for SMEs. So I'm talking about, I took an example of Hema, but if there is an SME which wants to avail a credit facility, under the same modus operandi, they will be able to go download this app and take a credit in a matter of few minutes, right? So it can bring a magnitude of change in the way we bank. Number one, digital currency was number one. Secondly is this one. Now, at least digital currencies, you have some forefathers like what the China has done, what the US is aspiring to do, what the UK is aspiring to do. But when it comes to Oken, trust me, I don't think any other country has tried anything like this. So India will be the first country which will be going live, okay, on a framework like Oken. It is already live, by the way, but a beta version that it is not widely publicized at this point of time. But India will get there very soon. So at some point of time, maybe the Indian government comes and says there is a right to credit, like right to food and right to education. A right to credit is also another aspect which can come in. When I say right to credit, what I mean is, how does the data of HEMA, I mean, like for example, I'm talking about HEMA as an example. Now let me go to an example of a tender coconut seller on the road. Okay, now this is where your fintech story comes in. You can see all of them accepting GPays and Paytms today, because slowly they're also moving into that mechanism right now, right? Now, if you have a 3 month of digital footprint created for your tender coconut business, then on a day, for example, if you sell 1,000 rupees worth of tender coconut, you have a business of 30,000 rupees, which naturally gets credited to your bank account. Okay, so 3 months, 30,000 plus 30,000 plus 30,000 of digital financial transactions get done. Okay, a digital footprint is created. Now the tender coconut guy comes and seeks a loan. Okay, after like 4 months, all that he will do is go and give a consent for his data. He doesn't have to walk into a bank. He doesn't have to submit his KYC, because you have a digital KYC mechanism in place in the country already. There is a UPI through which the loan can get credited. So moment, for example, Mr. X, who's a tender coconut seller who just gives the consent, all the banks in India will be able to see that Mr. X is selling 1,000 rupees worth of tender coconut every day for the past 90 days. Now, for 90,000 rupees sale, will I have a problem in, say, lending 5,000 rupees to that person? Absolutely not. Right? Now, the context is in India, 80% of the population is underbanked. Okay, that's what at least the official statistics say. Now, under this framework, okay, imagine there is absolutely no problem on why a right to credit of sorts cannot be implemented in a country like India. Now, these are two things which I want to touch upon. Then, of course, this account aggregator piece, which I spoke about, that's a new segment which is coming up. It is very easy to just say that HEMA just said consented, okay, and all the data flows through it, okay, but there is a middleman. There is a legitimate NBFC framework which has been approved by the Reserve Bank of India. There are like 7 or 8 NBFCs who are already operating in this space. So they just pick up that request or the consent from HEMA, go run around all the regulators, pull that data, put it in a standard format, share it with all the banks. So this account aggregator piece is something which is going to grow, right? So that is something which students of at least this year has to keep in mind. With all the doom and gloom around COVID, right? I mean, I remember talking to some of the students of the same college last year. There are several things of this sort happening. Like, for example, how a digital currency is evolving, how Oken framework is evolving, how an account aggregator system, that ecosystem is getting developed, right? So some of these things just students have to go through. Okay, there are several materials available online. Just go through it. Keep yourself connected with this kind of a framework. And lastly, all of this works on a technological fulcrum. So you cannot escape technology. Whatever you do, it will come back. Okay, so never have that mindset that I don't want to get connected with technology. I want to do a pure play finance job. And I'll take another 30 seconds. While all of us keep talking about careers in finance, the very first lesson in my view is that students at this age first have to understand their personal finance themselves, right? Start saving early, start understanding how money is, right? How money works, right? Understand how the stock markets work, okay? All of that is very important. There are several fintechs who have already put up, even if you have 500 rupees, 200 rupees, I'm sure some of us might agree, maybe Ganesh sir might agree that we all learned it very late, maybe. The kids who came out, passed out in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, right? By the time we were 40 and 45, we started thinking about all of these things. But times have changed, right? In an open economy like this, even if it is 500 rupees, be prudent in your spending. educate yourself, keep reading more. And some of these technologies which I spoke about, just go through the YouTube. There are several content available, and always feel free to write to me. So keeping in mind the time constraint, let me stop here. Thanks, Raman.
Thank you, sir. That was very interesting.
Thank you.
So we have our next speaker. So every aspect today is structured. Technology has made everything automated. Has it made the work easier or tedious? Let us listen from our speaker or on this. So I welcome Mr. Vikas Rai, Senior Consultant EC at Deloitte Bangalore. Mr. Vikas, with 13 plus years of experience, is currently working as a Senior Consultant EC at Deloitte. Previously worked with JP Morgan Chase as an operations analyst. He has also been associated with companies such as ICICI Direct, Albert David Limited, Hindustan Copper Limited, etc., and undertaken work such as financial analysis, extraction of claims from different sources, validation of claims as per the entitlements followed in different markets, maintaining intraday and end of the day checklist, conducting BCP activities with Mumbai partners, and analyze risk in the process and ensure controls, etc. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ramya, and very good afternoon to everyone. So to talk about this particular topic, I would be more specific to the project management piece on which I'm currently aligned with. So to understand about, we all hear about the topic as in financial analysis. So who are these financial analysts? What role does they play? What is the importance of these analysts in a particular company is? So these are some key questions which we all need to understand, especially when we talk about PMO roles or the project management aspects. So if I have to give a definition or a simple one-liner definition about what the financial analysts are, I would say financial analysts are the strategic business partners who helps the firm leadership to deliver or to help them deliver high quality and an insight to the financial management. I mean, they play a very key role with their effort to make the leaders understand what's the financial impact is or what the associated risk could be. Now, if anyone who looks for a career growth in that particular aspect needs to have a very very keen understanding about the various financial terminologies which we learn through our academic process. They have to deal with a lot many numbers day in and day out. So let me take an example there. Say I'm a project manager and I'm handling a very complex engagements, and when I'm having a negotiation with my client to win that particular project, to deliver a particular stuff or the end need which the client has, I need a group of people. I need a set of team which will be working on that particular engagement. Now, considering if the nature of that engagement is pretty complex, it depends upon whether the project is from the government sector or whether it's from the banking sector or whether it's from the defense sector. The project might be for a year, 2 years, or it might be a long-term project for 3 years. And then it might involve a team of 150 to 200 people. Now, the moment these many people are involved in any particular project, the engagement partner who is mainly concerned about from the overview perspective, he doesn't have that much of a time to spend and go at a granular level for each resources to track the financial and understand what's happening. He will be more concerned from an overview perspective about how is my project doing, whether I'm in a healthy position or not, if there's any risk there. That's where the financial analyst comes into picture to do that granular, that core analytical stuff to keep a track of whether the budgeting which we have done, whether the resources who are supposed or expected to work on these particular engagements are working as per the alignment or not. The cost which we had forecasted at the beginning of the particular project, are we in that particular line or not? So the analyst, that's where they will be involved in the full engagement life cycle, right from pricing strategy during the project, during the duration of the particular project, to the revenue recognition, and then ultimately working on the profitability analytics or profitability analysis. Now, coming back to the topic, what does a role, what role does an accounting and auditing play in a financial analysis? Now, again, to talk from a PMO perspective, a project management perspective, the key concept of accounting purpose is to provide the financial information to your engagement partner. When you have 200 to 300 people working on engagement, you are keeping a track of their time. The moment you're keeping a track of their time, you are understanding what revenue your firm or that particular project is making. Based on your past or the actual data, it is your responsibility as a financial analyst to provide a trend to your partner, letting him know, hey, if the engagement is going to run for so and so duration with this particular staffing mix from different job levels, this is where the project might end. You might make a revenue out of, you might make a profit out of it, or you might end up with a loss if the corrective actions are not being made. Now, does your role ends there by just providing that particular information? The answer would be no. You not only you need to identify the problem, but you also need to suggest how you can solve those particular problem. Will a staffing change be enough to take care of it? Whether we require additional funding from the client to ensure that we meet the expenses or meet the cost which we are anticipating to come up in near future. So these are some of the key factors which you as a financial analyst pass it on or suggest to your engagement leader when you are communicating with him after you have prepared your report, depending upon whatever cadence you are having, or if you are having certain calls, letting him know that this is what the output is, this is what your thought process is, and you sit with him and then chalk out what the plan of action should be. So in a way, you are helping the partner or the firm to take crucial decision about what the future of those engagements would be. Now that's like a process of an accounting which comes up over here. Now, what does an auditing does? Though the terminologies might say suggest like a core accounting this thing, but in a project management field, the auditing makes you helps you to ensure whether your engagement is in compliance to the expectation or not, whether you are meeting up all the necessary requisites which you are supposed to do. We have US GAAP, which talks about that your financials needs to be in certain standard. So that can be that's the compliance which you need to meet. Similarly, in your engagements or in your respective projects, if you need to know A to Z of all the policies, all the procedures which you are dealing with in that particular project. If you have a client which says that you cannot charge me or you cannot bill me more than $100 or $200 for an airline fare or for a travel or for a meal, you need to ensure that we are not violating that particular policy. And the key reason is, the moment you notice that there is a violation, and if you are able to mitigate that from your end as a proactive measure, you are kind of building up that relationship with that particular client. You are building up that trust with the client, which helps you to gain more business. But if you do not do that particular audit in your specific projects, and then your client tomorrow come back and say that, okay, this is what I haven't expected, that impacts a long-term relationship. And then the core responsibilities of such activities is where the financial analyst comes into picture to take care of ensuring that the brand image or the relationship, the financial metric, everything is in line, and then they take up their first tab to understand if what input can be provided in there. Now, to add into this particular topic about what impact does it have with the technological advancement, we all know that technology with the growing is rapidly growing. We are automating things. The particular job which 15 people used to do, we kind of like try to get that particular process automated, and then now we have only one person working there. To give a live experience on that is, from my personal experience while working with my previous company, there used to be a set of like a target that every year someone needs to come up with an automation ideas. So the team when I joined, the team which had like 10 members, by the time I was about to leave that company, it had shrunk to 1% or 2%. So that's the kind of automation is happening. But does that how does that impact an individual? As an individual, I need to keep myself upgraded with all the technological advancement which is happening around in the finance world. I cannot just simply stick my information to the bookkeeping entries. Rather, I need to learn what's new. What's new process which has come up. For example, if I want to grow my career in the ERP industry, there's an ERP package, there's an ERP solution or the technical side which I can get myself involved and I can brush up there. Though I might come up from a core accounting background, but then since I have completed that particular training, I can advance in the field of ERP. Similarly, there are opportunity to move towards SAP finance as well. That is also plays a crucial role from where once you are done, you move or you advance your career from basic accounting to the having a bit of technological touch to your finance knowledge. So these are like small fields or area which helps you to upgrade your knowledge. To as a starting point, I would say is, or my suggestion would be, and this is what I come across many times when I take interviews with the other of the colleagues, that people come up with a strong financial knowledge, but then they lack somewhere in Excel knowledge as well as a starting on a starting side. At the end of the day, any company which is hiring someone, the company is not looking to do a bookkeeping entry. I mean, you need to have that Excel knowledge as well as an advantage or as an added knowledge along with your finance or whatever domain you come from. You need to have that particular piece of knowledge as well. And then you do not need to know complete Excel. You do not have to be a master of advanced Excel, but the basic formulas like VLOOKUP, sum, if, and all, these are the small things which you can upgrade yourself and then help. These are the way which will help you boost in a long run. And then there's an advancement to that as well. There's a Power BI which has come up, which helps you to groom yourself in a reporting field. So I'll stop here, but then this is what I wanted to share over here. So thank you, Ramya, for this.
Thank you, sir. So now we have with us our next speaker, Mr. Rahul Singh, founder, Arth Chanakya, and Tico Investing. Mr. Singh founded wealth management firm Tico Investing with an aim to bridge hedge fund management to layman's fingertips. Also founded education startup Artha Chanakya with the aim to impart practical capital market knowledge to students. He is an author of a book, Fun Stories, which aims to bring in financial literacy via stories, managing of high net worth individual portfolios, also trained working professionals and students in derivative segment of markets. With his Masters of Management Studies specialization in finance, Rahul is a portfolio manager with a strong foundation in fundamental analysis and also an unorthodox trader with a few trade tricks of his own. Simplification of a concept is what he believes in and does the same in his training methodology. So, Rahul, you have been actively involved in various academic institutions in providing working knowledge on finance, importance of certifications, and trading mechanism. So, what is your first advice to students looking for jobs in investment currently? Over to you,
Um,
Rahul.
yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ramya, ma'am, and thank you, Hema, ma'am, and the team, and all the dignitary speakers. It is just overwhelming to listen to all of them and the developments which are taken care of. Ramya, ma'am, one request: if Muzamil sir can help me cast my screen, that would be really great. I have a presentation to present, if I'm allowed to.
Sure, sure,
Sure,
sir.
sir. Sure. Rahul,
Yes,
so you
sir.
can go ahead with that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I hope the screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
It is
Okay. So as we all know, the today's concept, what we are talking about is building a career in wealth management firms. I mean, like in terms of finance and other things. And most of the speakers actually spoke about the importance of tech into finance and other fields, and how tech is over empowering everything. So as Ramya ma'am asked me, what is my first thing in terms of an advice to all the young guys there. Number one is, don't get intimidated by the current scenario. What do I mean by that? I know that the tech is being the major part of it, but at the same time, don't just get intimidated and keep yourself into that loop that it is something which is very difficult for you to understand. So I would say, come out of that shell and try to explore the thing, and always understand many of the things which have evolved over a period of time is for betterment and simplification of certain things. So don't get into this notion that if things are getting better and better, it's getting complicated. Yes, to an extent it does, but at the same time, the major reason for that complication would be simplicity of things. So the simpler the things, the better it is for everybody, right? So with this, I would start with my presentation. So I have three things which I want to share. One, how to have a positive outlook, because the scenario is uncertain. We have COVID into the picture, and most of us are thinking, what would be our job? What would an employer look into us when he's actually hiring us? So first, I would say we will discuss about the positive outlook. Second, the skill sets required, and third, I would actually brief you about various job opportunities in the field of capital markets. Now, what has COVID actually taught us, or how COVID has impacted? We can take a kind of analysis on that. So if you see businesses, or particularly the businesses, the way businesses ran, at least let's say 5 years back, we would be really shocked, or we will be really noticing this change, that it is we are moving towards tech, and in a faster duration of time. Like, let me say, 10 years back, if somebody actually communicated to you guys that we will do a payment using an online mechanism, most of us would be skeptical about it. But right now, everybody is comfortable with regards to that. And the current scenario has made sure that it is fueling that fire of that tech moving this current way. So if you see the current impact of economy, for some sectors it might have proved to be a bad thing, whereas for some sectors it has actually proved to be a boon. So I'm talking about such sector which it is boom. I'm talking about finance. And if you observe deeper into this thing, over last 1 year, there were many people who have actually or actively become participant in the Indian stock markets. So people are jumping into the stock markets because it has become easily, the information has become easily accessible to them. Okay, let me give a scenario because our previous speakers also spoke about it. So like how they would be really happy if they got such information in 2000s or 1990s. No, why are they saying this? If I have to analyze it, the reason is in 1990s, if you want to find a price of a share, it would actually take you a day to figure out because it would have got printed in a newspaper and that newspaper would get delivered only on the next day. So there was an information gap for over a period of time. Slowly, with the help of tech, all of us are getting that information at the speed of light. So with this, what is happening? With this, the information is flowing and also the opportunities are flowing for all of us. And the current generation, that is the millennials, are actually understanding this. And that is why if you see, slowly there is a dynamic shift in terms of preferences, in terms of stock markets. People who were really reluctant, like if you, I hope most of you would have seen this scam 1992, and because that's a hot thing in the internet as of now. So if you see, why could he do scam easily, was because at that time the information did not flow in an easier manner, right? But right now the information is readily available. We can access information in milliseconds. And let me say, if you had to get a auditor's report previously in 1990s, you had to wait for these guys to actually post it to you, okay, until and unless you're not accessible to that. But today you can just Google it and it is a click of a button. You can get all the information, all the projections, all the data required. So with this innovation, what has happened is it has opened a door for all of us to become a little more knowledgeable and a little more adaptive. And we can probably become more open to something which were really closed. And mostly I give this reference, our parents are not wrong when they say stock markets are risky or, it's kind of gambling, because back then it was something related to that because of information, right? But right now, no, because we have freely accessible of information, we can access the information at ease. Things have become really easier for us. So we can work on that and we can try to build. And to be frank, I'll give you a fact. There are more than 10 lakh accounts which new accounts have opened in the previous 1 year, which is a very beautiful thing for the industry, because the industry is actually growing. Okay. Now, one question to all the people who are participating in the thing: how many of us think that we will be jobless for next 5 years or perhaps forever? So if you actually think rationally, I don't think so that would be the case. Okay, so if people who are really panicking regarding the employment opportunities or anything, my suggestion to them is, please do not panic. Second, also have this consensus that things are going to better in the future. But this requires you to adapt to some changes and also enhance your skills. Okay, if you do these two things, I think this would be a really great thing for your career. Okay, so if you are thinking that, oh God, how will I get placed in the thing? Don't worry, you will get placed. The only thing what you have to work is towards your skills and not towards worrying it. So I would like to say, stay positive because the times are negative. So we usually see this term in stock markets: be fearful when everyone is greedy, and be greedy when everybody is fearful. So I would say, stay positive when the whole world is negative, and don't stay negative. Okay, I don't want to continue that because I don't want anybody to stay negative. Okay, with this, I will also be telling you how can you build wealth in capital markets. Okay, so for this, you have to understand a little more deeper thing, which is time as well as skill. So usually when you're getting into an employment, probably you're telling or you're trying to sell both these things. You would be giving your time as well as your skills. Okay, only then you will get a healthy paycheck. What I want you guys to understand is you have to have a balance of both the things, because we all know we all have 24 hours. So when we have this 24 hours, how can we have an exponential growth? Is via our skill sets. Okay, now how we develop our skill set is what we have to really work on. And we know times are changing, skills are changing. Okay, for example, 15 years back, I remember I used to go and learn typing. But in today's scenario, I don't see any kids specifically going and learning typing. Rather, they pick it at a very early age. So a skill which was very much required 15 years back has really become obsolete now. So what I want you guys to think is these changes are a little fundamental in nature. And when I say fundamental, we have both economy and we have both the new economy. So if you see previous economy revolved around we physically being present, and we could understand certain things because we could see them. Right now, the things have become in terms of tech. So your whole economy is in your laptop or on your phone, what you're using. My suggestion is your skills should be little related to these gadgets, so that you can understand the economy bit. And once you understand this economy bit, there are high potential of growth in it. Now, what are the skill sets required if you want to succeed in capital markets? Number one is I want to talk about circle of competence. See, since we have so many areas to excel, we get intimidated by certain things. So first thing is hold yourself back. Don't get intimidated by everything. What I would suggest you is try to figure out and work as much as possible in terms of which is your circle of competence and what is that thing which you actually can develop faster and naturally learn faster. Okay, that's one thing. Second, critical thinking. You have to understand how things are going to be. If I have to talk about critical thinking, I also want to suggest you guys another thing. In next 50 years, I think we would be seeing very radical changes in terms of various things, from biotechnology to our financial services and to the systems. I want you guys to deeply think about it and see if you would be relevant to that point of time. Okay, keep future much ahead of you and probably work towards that. And like all our speakers have already spoken in this specific time, how things have changed. So please make sure that you foresee the changes. Okay, understand the economic bit of it and the financial systems bit of it, because this is the most important part of financial markets or capital markets. You need to be associated with these things. Second, you also need to know how to research and also to simplify such researches. Okay, you need not make things sound really complicated. You can make it sound very simpler, very plain, and at the same time, in the future, simplification is one thing which everybody is looking for, right? So if you see bookkeeping, we simplified that to an Excel. From Excel, we are going probably a Google Sheet or probably to those apps which can automatically compute these sort of data. And in terms of trading, first, initially, you need 30 days to settle a transaction. But today, probably T plus 2 days. Okay. In future, this might also change. In terms of risk management, things have been changing. The way risk is, evaluated is completely changing. So most important skills, critical thinking, analytical thinking, and also communication bit. This is more important because I always look for people who can communicate in a much simpler way, so that it's easier for the other people to understand. Okay, now job opportunities I've actually classified into 3 categories. So the first category is into business. So capital market is really vast. So you can pick any of these topics and kind of excel in that. Okay, so you can pick into equity, commodities, derivatives. Derivatives is actually picking up in India. There's a data which suggests that there is increase almost by double over a period of 5 years in terms of participation in derivatives by the retail segment. So slowly, since the information is freely accessible and the platforms are very helpful for everyone, people are accessing such systems easily. So all of you who are worried that you wouldn't get a job, don't worry, because there are job opportunities still available in these things. So it is at a very infant stage, and probably this will get you more opportunities. But what you have to completely work on is on the skills. So these are some of the opportunities. You can be a mutual fund advisor or an investment advisor. So the base for all this would remain the previous things what we were discussing about. And the research part of it, you can completely get into research, and this research can be sold as an output to various other individuals. who can access these things. So you can completely be, so as I spoke in our previous slide, circle of competent, you can choose one of these fields and actually be competent on that. And at the same time, you also know a given certain information around that, so that it will be really helpful for you. So these are some of the opportunities. And then we have compliance, like as Vikas sir was talking about certain compliances. So we have tax compliances, accounting compliances, report building, and also software development. So I didn't wanted to put it in a separate this thing. I just wanted to add it here so that it is not like on face of everyone. Software development, this is more important because most of the trades which are currently happening are in machine way. So don't get scared by machines, but also understand that machines are run by humans. So you can build your own models to run, and these models can be very beneficial for you. Okay, by this I would be open for Q&A. I hope I'm not taking much of time. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Rahul. That was quite interesting and motivating. We all know that we will stay positive. Thank you for that. And participants, we will take the questions in the end. Okay. So combining foundational quantitative and qualitative finance skill with powerful data analysis tools and technical skills, and be prepared to tackle challenges either in a portfolio analysis or in risk management is very vital today, as we also learned from our speakers. So now I would like to call upon Mr. Srinivas R. Nayak, Senior Test Analyst, Odyssey Technologies, and also alumni from batch 2017-19, is presently working in cross-functional team responsible for understanding the requirements of the client, giving knowledge transfer to developers, testing the final product, and making sure it is in line with the client requirement. So now, Srinivas, what were the various key aspects you consider important during MBA that helped you to reach the position you are at today? Over to you, Srinivas.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So first of all, very good afternoon to all the panel members, my faculty people, and definitely my students. I have a great opportunity that I've got from the college. And to answer Ramya ma'am, so just to give a brief to all the guys who are there, all my junior people, just to give the background of how, from where I am exactly and what I'm currently doing. I am a BCom graduate from Christ University, and then I worked with EY for 1.5 years just to check, what is that skill that the corporate needs for a fresher to enter and excel themselves. So post that, I came to Dayanand Sagar College. I met wonderful professors, had a very good career guidance of what needs to be done. Uh, you know, that's something that I learned in these 2 years. So post that, when I was in the final year, we had an opportunity to move to an internship that's where I understood that these are the skills that require, and this is what we need to do in order to get the job that we actually need. So to start with the skills that that are required, minimum skills that I would actually talk about, that every student who is into finance, into analytics should definitely have. One, as some of the panel members told, Excel is very important. Second thing is, because my specialization was finance and analytics, I had a couple of knowledge in SQL, which I'm using currently in my job day in and day out. SQL is very, very important in the field that I am. And then R programming was something which we picked up in college. So this also is one of the key, technological skill, I would say, in order to present to the employer that these are the things that I have and this is what I can do. So these are the three things mainly that I focused on, and majorly your internships, your projects that you do, in 1.5 months or 2 months that you get to finish your internship and then write what you've learned. This is actually very, very important. This is something which is presentable. These are the things that actually helped me a lot in understanding. However, I had a corporate experience which also boosted me in understanding how do I present myself, what do I learn, how do I answer the questions. So this was something which was very, very important, which I felt. Anything else, Ramya ma'am?
So, Srinivas, can you give a key advice to your juniors? Is there any key advice which you want to give it to your juniors?
Yes, the one of the key advices that I think is very essential is do your projects properly. Do your internships properly. They are very, very important. Learn what you're doing in your internship, even though it's for a very, very short span of time. It actually gives you an actual practical picture of how the companies are working, what is that they're into, what are the expectations from your side. Even though you start small with the small steps, it definitely helps you in understanding what they do. That will give you an overall broader picture of how you should be working in the environment that they are working, and progress further. Apart from that, I think uh, join as much as career guidances that you can. This actually gives you a broader picture of what all you can get into. So tax, audit, these are the typical finance field we all know from ages. But you have this technology, the technology which is actually blending with any field that you name it, HR, finance, marketing, anywhere that you go, you have this technology which is having an impact somehow or the other. So the field that I am into. So before I was in tax, now I'm into the software field. So I'm finance and analytics, still I'm into software. So somehow the technology, it has a greater impact on finance as well. So yeah, I think there are career guidance is very, very important, because when I was into college, I never knew, to be very honest, that something of technology can also blend with finance to a greater extent. So great career guidance is very important. You definitely have wonderful professors in our college who can help you in, if specifically talking about finance, you have Ramya ma'am, Deepak sir, who are great advice. Will let you know what are the new things which are coming up, which you might be interested in. You should definitely try. So yeah, that is one of the key things I think, ma'am, I would like all the juniors. I really wish we could be physically present, meet each other and have a casual conversation. But yeah, I think thanks to technology, we are able to at least see each other and speak to one another.
Certainly, we will meet in a very short time, Srinivas. That's a great advice you have given. Thank you. So, audience, now the session is open for Q&A. You can post your questions in the chat box, or you can unmute and ask the speakers. So, speakers will answer your questions.
Ma'am, I have a question, ma'am. Yogesh, second year MB.
Yes, Yogesh, please go ahead. Please mention.
Yeah, ma'am. My question is to.
Do you have any specific
Yeah, my question is to.
speaker to answer your question, Yogesh?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. My question. Yeah, ma'am. My question is to Srinivas sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, please.
And I took my specialization as finance and business analytics in the Anand Sagar, but now I have got placed in a different. It doesn't belong to finance or analytics. It's something like a marketing job. Like I don't feel it's something which I wanted, but I am doing it right now. Like it's in part of an internship. I'm working as a management trainee. So being there, can I see anything in future? Can I come back to finance field like that, finance or analytics field?
Yes. So one thing to start off is, I think first speaker Ganesh sir actually told that you pick up what you get. That will actually teach you how the corporate is working. So when I'm stressing more on how corporate is working, because what you and I would have seen in our past in our college is completely different. So you pick that job that you have, start it off, learn what it has to give you, no matter if it is related to finance. You get a broader picture, you understand certain things. And it's not that you get specialization only in finance. You should definitely have knowledge of various fields. Even though you're not a specialist, you need to understand the broader picture. So I personally suggest you that you go for the job. However, parallelly, you definitely build your finance, career by doing certain courses that will help you apply jobs in in the finance field that you are looking at, and then move out. Having a job will also have weightage on your CV. So
Yes.
you'll know how to present yourself in your interviews. So that will help you a lot, Yogesh. So definitely take the job.
Like my doubt is this is completely a marketing job, but when I future if I go to a finance job, such sort of things, like my CV will be considered to utmost, or like it's just a consideration.
You have to start off, and because it's going to be your. I'm assuming this is going to be your first job. To start off,
Yes,
and
sir. Yes,
as
yes.
much as possible, try and shift. So that you can be in your finance career for longer period of time. I understood your.
Yes, sir. I have not left my finance. Like I have keeping, like even I have taking some courses in finance. So like I was always interested in finance, but somewhat I got into this job.
No problem, Yogesh. You will definitely move.
And finance.
That's what. Yes.
So,
go ahead.
Yogesh, I would like to answer your question, Yogesh. You are still in the 4th semester.
Yes,
and
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we are in the COVID period. I'm so happy that
Yes,
you are
ma'am.
with one job. Correct? Definitely, you equip yourself with
Yes,
the
yes, ma'am.
related to finance and analytics, and then definitely you can place yourself in because Srinivas is in front of us, like the kind of effort what he puts that has get him this position, right? He also mentioned, right?
Yes,
no
ma'am.
problem. Now you are with a job. Be happy
Yes,
for it. We are in the midst of COVID situation. Many are without job,
Yeah, ma'am.
losing job. Things will definitely change. Okay.
Ma'am, just to add bit with your permission.
Ma'am, I am happy with the job. I'm happy with the job. But I'm more interested in.
Companies have started coming. It's picking up a lot. Don't worry. Okay, you will get placed, and you can skip this job and then move on to the finance specialization job. There is no restriction from our placement side. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Ramya, can you please move on to the next question? Yeah.
Now, I have a question for Ganesh sir. So, would you suggest students to take up certification courses such as CFA, CPA, and other professional courses before students join the career? Or would you suggest finance students to join the company and learn as they go to reach the goal of reaching the top position? What is your suggestion, sir?
Yeah, so the answer in short is you learn only by doing on the job, right? Because typically, whatever learnings you're doing, it's going to help you. I'm not saying I'm against learning. Learning is very important. That definitely needs to be coupled, but without hands-on kind of an approach, these things sometimes becomes a little sort of not that helpful. Because I'll take an example. When you finish, like I did my CA, and then of course I did an executive MBA later. But when we went into the corporate, we actually had no clue what is the education, what we have done, and what is the expectations. There was so much of a mismatch. So now getting your hands dirty, trying to understand fully the expectations, and then start looking at what is the interest you have got. As I mentioned, there are so many different lines. You mentioned about CPA, you could do a CFA, you could do a certification on audit, GST. I mean, technology type related stuff. I mean, you could do many things, but then you need to understand your passion. You need to understand where is your interest. That, in my view, probably can be a little later. And first and foremost is to sort of start getting a little more grounded and sort of get into the corporate sector straight away. But that helps a lot, because then you start understanding what is the expectations.
Thank you, sir. So my next question is to Paramashivam Mahalingam, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, risk management, though it is considered as an important subject in finance, majority of risk management methods taken by banks always remain a secret thing. Can you briefly explain where risk management is used and how fresh graduates can fit in if they're interested in this area?
Okay, from a risk management perspective, it's a constantly evolving process, right? I mean, the way we used to assess risk 10 years back, the way we assess risk at this point of time is a lot more sophisticated, I would say. Uh, Again, I will come back to that point on technology. Technology is really helping uh, a lot more for all the risk professionals to assess a client, okay, while taking a call. There is no secrecy per se. I mean, the end of the day, it is all about the financial performance, the ability and intention of the corporate or an individual, and that is what will determine. So all the technologies and tools which we talk about, okay, which will eventually boil down to these two aspects: whether you are able to pay, or whether you have the intention to pay. If both these points are eventually answered, right? I mean, with all the technological tools, we just do a bit of financial analysis. Each bank has its own policies. Each non-banking finance companies will have its own policies, and yeah, we then take a call accordingly. And I was just alluding to the open credit framework. So there, most of the data is now going to be available at a touch of a button, right? I mean, that can happen in a very, very quick time. So maybe this question may not be relevant in the next 3-4 years, that all the data is going to be just available. And as long as with all the available data, if a bank can take a call on whether the person is going to pay and whether he has the ability and intention, I think risk management is towards that, okay, in an open credit framework, along with all the technological support which are evolving at this point of time.
Yeah, thank you, sir. We have a question from Sarah John. She is pursuing her BCom final year. She is having a question that every finance student's dream is to work in big fours. My question is, as a fresher, does work experience in internship during college play a role in building a career in this company? So big fours mean the question is obviously Vikas, right? You can answer this question. And how to earn an internship. So this question again, Srinivas Nayak and Vikas Rai, both of you can answer this question, how to earn an internship.
Okay. So to talk about the internship, so majority of these big fours have, I mean, what I have observed is they have they go through that campus hiring process. I mean, as in like they have a tie-up with the various colleges and the premier colleges which they have in a different location. That's where, based on or the alternative method would be if there is a channel through which the communication can be set up, that there are internship opportunities in this particular during this particular phase in the companies, especially those big fours. If there are folks who are willing to do it, we are open for that. But having said that, it also depends a lot upon the credibility, as in like what's the educational background of that particular candidate is. The particular candidate should have a good academic career, as well as when these folks, they do their internship, they go through a process of an interview. That's kind of like a stepping stone uh, towards the corporate sector. So they need to be good in their communication skill. They need to be very vocal. They need to understand the financial, because that's like a 2 months internship, which more or less usually happens. So within those 2 months internship program, the expectation is this intern should be able to make an impact with whomever they are, whoever their buddies are with their projects, make their presentations, and then accordingly that opens up the doors for them, as in like they get a offer letter, right, letting them know that once they complete their MBAs or the graduation they are pursuing in, if they are willing to come and join those companies, they can come back and do that. But the key factor is they should be aware of their numbers. They should be aware of their topics. Only then they can apply for these things. I mean, there's a lot lot much emphasis has been put on to understand about the educational qualifications, whether the person is coming from a core finance or accounting background or not, and is vocal or not. Anything to add, Srinivas, for your side? I'll just pass it on to you.
Sure, I do agree with what Vikas sir said. I have worked there for for 1.5 years. The one thing which Vikas sir rightly said is these guys have tie up with the institutes where they have campus placements where they recruit from. However, just one point to add on is if there is no campus, if EVA is not coming for your campus, the one way to get your internship might be is if you have any contacts in in people who are already working who can refer you for an internship, that will actually work out for you. They will refer you, however you again have to go through the interview process and then they decide if if you are good to go. So one thing is referral definitely works, but yeah, you need to have those right people who are referring you in order to get the internship, because they will know when the internship slots are open and when you can apply and what is that you need to have as an education background in order to be eligible for you to apply. That will help you get an internship in Big Fours, guys.
Thank you, Srinivas. So we have our next question to Paramashivam sir. It's in the chat box. Sanjay is asking, how can finance background people get into digital bank or a crypto market? Like in bank sector, finance people handle people's money by investing into stock, bonds, or lending it to industry. But what is the job role of a finance people in crypto or digital bank in your future?
It's a good question, actually. It will eventually move into technology only. I mean, I have to be transparent there, because at least that's what I think. Again, I mean, if you have to develop that kind of a technology, okay, in cryptos or digital currencies, a fair understanding of what happens in the exterior world, okay, in an account-based system to what can potentially happen in a token-based system. Your ability to understand how finance works, okay, in a conventional world, that knowledge is extremely important. So that culminated with some amount of technology understanding is what is going to help, I guess, for people to have a promising career on cryptos. But again, when I spoke about cryptos, these are not which are going to come up maybe in the next 1 month or so, but certainly for sure in the next 2-3 years, this is going to come in a big way, right? I mean, there are a couple of countries already started accepting digital currencies issued by their own central banks, but it's a question of 2-3 years time. So just keep a pace of what's happening on this space. Just look around how other countries are evolving. Thankfully, the internet is so handy for students of these ages, because in our times, I mean, we had to literally slog for such an information, right? I mean, in the late 90s. So just keep pace of it. I mean, especially I would urge you to just see what is happening in China right now, because that's one country which is really advanced in terms of digital currencies, etc. And stay connected with some of these international professionals who are already working on cryptos. Read their blogs. Okay, those are things which will really help you position for a good role, maybe in the next 18 months to 24 months time. One last point also is that RBI has come out with asking for applications for various entities, okay, for something called a new umbrella entity. Okay, just make a note of this word. I don't want to get deeper into this, but a new umbrella entity is nothing but these are the entities which will potentially invest in these kind of technologies. There are like 6 or 7 consortiums which have already applied for this licensing. The license is not being given right now, but most of them will go into product development, I guess. If you see some of the applicants' names, these are large global technology players plus banks. You can see a Kotak Mahindra along with a Google or an Amazon and S banks and SBI and all of them. So just keep a tab of the new umbrella entity mechanisms, along with staying connected with all what's happening on the crypto world. That will really help you, I guess. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now I have a question to Rahul. How important do you think certificates are in getting recognized by companies today in investment?
Okay. So if you see the current scenario with the technology, what has happened is there is on-flow going certification programs all across the place. That is, every institution is promising you at a given sort of certifications, and certifications have become a thing of like everything. Like you go, you have like thousands of variations there. So what is my suggestions to all these guys would be to focus on the core certifications which actual greater institutions are providing, such as NISM is one such in terms of finance, capital markets. So NISM has close to 18 modules. For NISM, National Institute of Securities Market, this is a certification which is directly provided by SEBI. Okay, so the weightage of such certifications on your resume would be very huge. And at the same time, these are short-term courses which students can probably give a month or two and then get along with. But the knowledge part of it is very high there, and it is quite relevant. So it is not outdated, and it is up to the market level. And also another thing to add on, these certifications are mandated from the government, from the institution, sorry, not government, from the institutions. Like to say, if anybody wants to be get into a basic dealer job, which soon will get outdated by technology. I mean, like technology will eat that job. If you think in terms of dealers, if you want to be a dealer, you need to have a certification of Series 8. If you want to be a mutual fund distributor, you need a certification which authorizes you to have such certification. So these are nothing but the basic level of education which a certain individual needs to have if he or she wants to get into that profile. And to add on another thing, which probably I think Yogesh was asking, is like, currently I'm in marketing and then I want to shift towards finance. What he can actually think is he can actually build his resumes with such courses which actually provide him a good weightage on his resume. And once the courses have been dealt with major institutions, then slowly things can take a step ahead. And many MNCs also recognize such certifications. So I would suggest this to the students now.
Thank you, Rahul. Next question is to Ganesh sir from Payal Acharya. She is pursuing her BBA in finance. So she's asking, I wanted to go for US CFA. Is there any work experience required to do the certification course?
Yeah. So not really. You could actually get into it, but just a quick observation. I mean, I see in the chat box that she has mentioned CFA. Now, the CFA program, what we get in India itself, the CFA Institute, is actually an identical program, and the syllabus is same. I mean, the course contents and the value what the industry in India attributes is actually quite good. So I'm not sure why we need to sort of actually do it out of US. I mean, it can seamlessly be done out of India itself. So to answer to the question, no experience. Clearly, that's a program which one can do. But please remember, I mean, Payal should know that this is a very specialized area. And if there is interest in pursuing this particular line, because this is a very specialized niche area, very, very niche, and extremely good, I mean, remunerative, and it's a nice area to get in. But then you sort of become more of a, you get into that area. So clearly, the passion, the interest should be there. If there is interest, certainly it's a good thing. And my straight answer is it can be done in India itself. You don't actually need to go to the US for it.
So we have another question for you, sir. Tanuja is asking, when she was researching about CPA, so she heard that it's CPA is worth only if one CA degree is there.
So question,
is that true? She's asking.
No. So I'm a little. Are we talking about CPA or CFA? Because these are two separate.
CPA, sir.
Okay, fair point. Now, CPA, obviously, Certified Public Accountant, is what we are referring to. Now, actually, look, CPA programs are required if you really want to make a career outside India, especially in the US. They are recognized all over the world. India, of course, it's a slightly different thing because in India you have the Institute of Chartered Accountants, which typically, that's the governing body for accounting profession. So normally industry gives a lot of importance to CAs. But if the intention is to go outside India, especially to the US and all, you could actually do CPA. There's no necessity that you need to be a chartered accountant or something, and then only you can do a CPA. What it actually means is the CPA programs, if you have a program, if you've already done a CA and all, because CA and all is quite complex by the very nature. So if you've already done your CA, makes your qualification and completion of the program that much easier. There is no precondition as such. The CPA program can be done standalone. I think, if I'm not mistaken, 15 years of education, is what it insists, like any other US program. But that's all. There's no pre-requirement that you need to have a defined program and only then you can do a CPA program. So there is nothing like it, but it becomes a lot easier if you have done something in India, that helps actually.
Thank you, sir. So we have a question from our first year student, Pavan Kumar GR. So he is from a mechanical engineering background. So he's asking, is finance a good option for a mechanical engineering student to opt? Because he doesn't have any basic background of finance or accounts.
So you want me to take that?
So it's open for all the speakers.
Okay, so let me start take that, and then of course other panelists can always add to it. I always believe an engineering degree with management, with a finance specialization is a real potent sort of combination, because and that's what I was trying to mention in my speech also, that many of the finance people tend to be, unfortunately, it's a little unfortunate that they tend to become little one-dimensional. When they say one-dimensional, they just think about numbers and they generally don't get the broader picture. And that doesn't help to grow up in your career, to sort of become a CEO of a company or a member of the board. You need to have a very all-round grounded approach. So someone like, the person whom we're referring, and he has a mechanical engineering background, and he couples with the finance sort of a program along with it, tends to sort of get an all-ground experience, has the broader picture. He will be able to understand the engineering part, the technology part that much easier, and that helps. And if you really aspire to become a CEO of a company, it can be an extremely compelling proposition. That's my take. Other panelists can add to it.
If I have to add a thing, I would say the person who asked the question is actually in a good shape, because if you see, even in terms of portfolio management, so when you're actually from commerce, you do not understand certain working of certain companies, which is regarded to certain products. So if you are from a different field, it actually helps you understand the business operations of a given certain thing. So let me say, what is the part when, let's say if there is a e-vehicle, electronic vehicle, and then there is a normal vehicle. If there is a shift from normal vehicle to an electronic vehicle, so there would be some components which would just become obsolete. So probably this might take time for a commerce graduate to understand. Whereas if you have both mechanical as well as finance bit of it, so you can probably leverage this knowledge either in stock markets or anything, and you can probably succeed in that. So I would say that that would be a really good add-on to your profile.
Yeah, just to
I would like to add one point here. Yeah. Like in the 2014, our student by name Atira Bhaskar with the engineering background, she wants to pursue her career in finance. That time when Ernst & Young came to college, they were mentioned like the eligibility criteria itself BCom and BBA. So she could not get into that, but she was her passion was towards finance. Through referral, she placed in E&Y. I recently also referred in LinkedIn. Still, she is with Instant Youngster. And I want to add value here, since we are moving towards the digitalization, automation, everything, the technology ruling the market, this tech guy is going to flourish everywhere. That's what I felt. I leave this to other panel member also.
Yeah, just wanted to add one quick note on that. Add to that, if you make a sort of decipher how many CEOs are people who have got this kind of a combination, you will find a lot. Because typically, once you want to become a CEO, you need to understand technology, you need to understand engineering, you need to understand production, especially if you're in a manufacturing kind of a setup. Without a granular understanding of those facets, it can be very difficult to sort of manage the CEO sort of a role. So to sort of get to the top, I think this combination is very, very important. That's my view.
Okay. My next question is to Vikas Rai. The question is from our first year student, Sana Afrina. She's asking what skills are required to become a financial analyst.
All right, so I would say it's a core understanding of the financial terminologies, as in we all study about profitability analysis, ratio analysis. I think she's in a first year right now. So once she moves to second year, she might come across, there's a topic called as financial management. So in terms, what we do in financial or FP&A role is understand the various ratio metric, as in the gross profit margin, the other ratios which we have, the engagement margin and terminologies like that. So she needs to have, or we need to have those understanding. What are the ratios? What are the things which is driving the financials of a particular company? What are those driving factors? What is that metric? So these are the key things which we need to have an understanding about if we are looking for an opportunity or a career growth in an FP&A role.
Thank you, Vikas. So my next question is to Paramashivam sir. Student name is Pooja. She's asking if we want to go for a banking sector after graduation with another specialization. That means she's asking, along with finance, which specialization will be benefit or will be good to go for a banking sector? Okay, so yeah, we have a question to Rahul from Sarah. So, being an active stock trader, where do you think would be the next place to branch out in terms of trading, which a student can actively trade? Is crypto the new stocks?
Yeah, I mean, like I have been associated with crypto space, and I think this is a brilliant question. And because right now crypto has been a hot cake, and crypto is not going to leave us anytime soon. So if you see, slowly the financial products itself are changing. I would say one fallback in terms of India is not many people understand the derivative segment of markets. I would suggest everybody who's looking into finance much deeper to actually understand the way derivative works, because there is a history to derivative and then there is a future to derivative. Now the history is 2008, the whole collapse of Lehman Brothers and the global turmoil was because of some wrong usage of derivatives. So derivatives are destructive in nature, but at the same time they are very productive in nature too. So if you see in terms of daily trading, it can give you help in terms of leverages, which can be the best part for somebody who's starting with lesser money to transact. That is one best part of derivatives bit of it. And if you see, derivative is a concept, whereas crypto, stocks, commodity, these are asset classes. So now, since ma'am has asked a question, Sarah ma'am has asked a question about crypto. First, always begin with understanding some sort of fundamentals of what a crypto is. So if you see, basically all cryptocurrencies have some sort of understanding or the way they work. They are actually bought into a nature for a particular given reason. And there is a tech bit of it. Like if I have to talk about Ethereum is built on in terms of blockchain technology, which actually develops certain things. Okay. So, and the value is generated via usage of people, and when people are trusting that currency way more than somebody else is doing. So with this, the challenge what you will be having is, one, cryptos are very speculative in nature because they are very infant in nature, and every field which is an infant has these sort of fluctuations and speculations happening around. So if you're a student who would be looking into these things, what I would say, diversify your portfolio. Don't put all your money in crypto and wonder it to, do it, because it is very doomy. Also, we have seen in previous 15-20 days what has happened with recent tweets from a person, which actually led to collapse of certain cryptocurrencies. So it is a dynamic in that nature. So if you're thinking in terms of asset class, yes, it is an asset class. Please allocate some of your fund. I would say 5 to 6% of your fund would be a healthy to learn these things. And like Ganesh sir was also emphasizing, get your hands dirty. That is, you put that money, only two things can happen. So usually, let it be stock market or crypto markets, three things can happen. What are these three things? Either your prices might go up, might come down, or at the same level where they started. So you have to just figure out, you have to just analyze the bit. How can you predict that thing in a much faster rate? Okay, much before anybody else is doing. So I would suggest ma'am to work on the fundamental aspects of it and try to work later on.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Rahul.
I got dropped. I think Pooja asked a question: what specialization is required to get into banking apart from finance?
Yes.
My answer would be just have passion, go for it. I mean, we don't really insist on any specific specialization from that perspective. If you have the right passion, I think that's good enough.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your answer, sir. Madam, we have many questions. We have 20 more questions. But it's 4 now. So can we take? I need the speakers time for it.
I'm okay with it.
Now, I have to drop off. If there are any one question to me, maybe I can take that and I will drop off. I'm sorry about it.
Okay. No, it's okay. No problem. Because we have mentioned 2 to 4. I know that we cannot take all the questions. Actually, sir, we received 50 plus questions from our participants. So that's good. So one last question I'll ask Srinivas Naik. Student Archana, she's asking, if I choose MBA specialization in finance with business analytics, what are the career opportunities that I'll be benefited with?
Archana, so if I'm not wrong. So one thing is, first is you will understand, finance and analytics together. As most of the panelists were saying, that technology is into everything now. So one thing is you will get to understand how analytics and finance blend together, at least a basic idea from what we learned from college. Second thing is job opportunities. If I have to actually specifically answer that, it actually depends on the companies which are coming to our college. And I mean, I definitely am not that much experienced to answer that question, to be very honest. But yeah, like I got into Odessa Technologies, this is partially into technology and finance. This finance analytics will help you get that job. So just to recap of how we had the campus placement for Odessa Technologies, like around 100 people had applied from various BU, VTU, and University, and just 1 or 2 people got selected. Mainly it's because of your specialization and the understanding that you have of technology, which blends with your core finance. So that will help. If you definitely have an interest towards technology and finance together, if not right away, you will definitely find yourself better equipped than other candidates who are there for the job later on. So it will definitely help us enough.
Thank you, Srinivas.
Can I take the privilege of asking each panel member here to name it 2 skill set that is very much required for the student? 2 skill sets, because each represent one domain here, so that that will be a good information to everybody. 2 skill set minimum. Yeah. Let's start with Ganesh sir, please.
So keenness to learn, very important, because life it's a leveler. It just keeps coming all the time. So keep learning all the time. That's very important. And second skill set, I would, so keep learning. So when I say learning means you'll try to learn all the functional traits, whichever line you are pursuing. You want to go into taxation, you want to go into be the best. That's very important. And second most important is try to have a broader approach if you really want to go to the top, because no point in just getting very silo and you want to become a banker, you want to become an insurance expert. If you want to really go to the top, you need to have a broader vision. The vision has to be very broad. Develop that, that quality is very important.
Yeah, thank you. Ms. Param, yeah.
Yeah, I will just go with what Sir just said. I mean, your willingness to learn all through, that is extremely important. And then build a passion as you progress, right? That is extremely important because end of the day, life is not all about what you earn and the career aspects to it, right? So there is much beyond all of this. So always build a passion and just keep learning. Those are the 2 things.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Param. Vikash, please.
I would say apart from the knowledge of finance, brush up your communication skill, because at the end of the day, you will end up, you will have to make presentations in the corporate world. Be confident on that, and have a knowledge about Excel a bit of, so that you know the basic formulas while you are working on the numbers in finance.
Thank you, Vikash. Goes to Rahul, please.
I would consider this to be a skill set which is actually required at this time. This is actually about trust. So since I work in a field where there is finances involved, many people actually get a little lured when it is money. So, they might do some sort of manipulation to just get ahead of the race. I would say your ethically being strong is very important. That is number 1. And trust, which is again part of your ethic. If you're not trusted, trust me, you're not going to get any more opportunities even in future. So you might have an exponential growth initially, but later you will just drop down. So keep that base strong. I would say trust is one. And for another skill is, yes, you need to have a little bit of empathy on people who are coming from different backgrounds. So since I'm an entrepreneur too, I feel this, and you have to be open in terms of economy, understand the economical aspects, and not everybody is like in the right frame of mind. So be positive and probably trustworthy. I would give more dominance to trust, because that's where even I believe many people. So trust is the major component.
Yeah, thank you. Srinivas, anything you would like to say? We are in the back end of this panel discussion.
Yes. 2 things, as ma'am said. First thing I would relate to my industry. First thing that I work into is SQL. You definitely need to learn SQL. Second thing is generic, as one of the panel members said, communication is the key. What X speaks to Y and what Y speaks to X in a shortest sentence and understanding is very, very important. So having clarity of what you say and getting it delivered as short as possible is the key, is what I would recommend the juniors.
Yeah, thank you very much, every panel member. Over to Ramya for a vote of thanks, please.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, and thank you all the speakers.
So on behalf of Department of Management Studies, Anand College of Engineering, I thank each and every one of you for your wonderful time with us today. I think we got a lot of insights and learnings, and got an overview about how to develop themselves based on your experience. Thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you very much. Thank you, audience too. Thank you, Ramya, and faculty members.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Madam,
Thank you,
can I deliver the vote of thanks?
Yeah, you deliver, please.
Yeah. On behalf of Management Studies DSE, I thank all the speakers for taking out time from your busy schedule to interact with us and for providing insights. And we are sure that today's session has given our participants an in-depth understanding of opportunities in finance and will help our students in choosing finance as a career. So thank you again. I also thank our principal, HOD, Dr. KG Hemalata Madam, our management for organizing such a wonderful webinar. And I also thank all the faculty members and our wonderful participants. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Muzammal. Yeah.